What's up, guys? Fan of all games here, back giving you yet another drama scripted Saturday here, actually on a Saturday. And if you're new here, this we go over the most notable things that happened in this past week of wrestling. But how we start off with every drama scripted, we start off with the ratings, and we have WWE Raw with 1.6 million. We have NXT 2.0 with 662,000, and we have AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite with 975,000 viewers. So let's hop right into it. The good news, the great news, the fucking fantastic news is good old JR with his 21 looks like radiation treatments on his left ankle has beaten his skin cancer, and as we saw, he returned to the announcement table on this past Wednesday's Dynamite. So congratulations, happy that JR is healthy and better, and he effing beat skin cancer. So great news, great, fantastic news. And other news that came out late Friday night, a really controversial tweet came from the head honcho of AEW, Tony Khan. But before I get into the tweet, I'm gonna go what I want to say triggered the tweet, because it was a response to Swole. Swole went on our podcast and gave like the real reason on why, or more detailed reasons on why she left AEW. And it was more of the lines, one, that there's no structure in the women's division. She says not a lot of female wrestlers are comfortable writing their own stuff and, doing their own things. They need a writer. And then for the women's division, there really isn't any. And two, the lack of diversity. I'll post, everything what she said somewhere, either here or somewhere, of everything that she said, the lack of diversity, and there's no structure. And, now that it's coming from a person that's actually worked in the business, that the AEW business side of things, to say that there's no structure, I think I've lost count of how many videos that I've said that when it comes to the women's division, there's no structure. There's outside of Britt Baker, there's really no main storylines. I mean, there's the TBS Championship tourney, but that's just, to debut a new title and also celebrate the fact that AEW is moving to another network, another channel. But outside of that, there really is no structure. There really is no consistent, steadily storylines. A majority of all the women's matches is on Monday Night Resurrection or Tuesday Night Dark. There's very little to no storyline. I just don't get it. It's like they don't know what to do with their women's division, and it has so much potential. Like, they have Thunder Rosa, they have Serena Deeb, they have Skylanders back. Obviously, Britt Baker. They got all this talent, but don't know what to do with it at the same time. Well, they just recently signed. I don't want to get her name wrong. They just recently signed Mercedes. So it's like all this talent, and they don't know what to. Yeah, Mercedes Martinez. Yeah, they recently signed her. And they don't know what to do with it. There's no constant storyline. The only thing they got going right now in that division is Britt Baker and this TBS. Oh, and this is also another thing. I'm jumping course real quick. With another title, they give themselves more work, because now you need to come up with two storylines for two titles. Because now you have a mid-card women's title, and you have the main card heavyweight title. So by making it the title, you now need to create another storyline. But so it's interesting to see what they're gonna do after the Jade and Ruby Soho match after January 5th, because now they gotta, after that match is over and the championship's crowned, they gotta figure out, okay, what do we have for Jade as champion, or what do we have as Ruby Soho as champion? Who's gonna be their next challenge? And then we gotta say, oh, okay, who's gonna take on the DMD? So they already they have the talent. They just don't have the substance for the talent. And then putting another belt, just like you're adding more work to the little substance that you have got going on. So it's just gonna create a bigger void. And as we at this point, we may have the fucking TBS title defended on Resurrection, because majority of all the women's matches are either on Resurrection or the dark AEW Dark. But yeah, that's that with the diversity. And then Tony Khan's tweet, I'm gonna have to say this verbatim because this shit blew my fucking mind. So in response to Swole's comment, Tony Khan says this on the last day of the year, mind you, at 7/18. He goes, the top two AEW execs are Brown, me and Mehad, Jade, Bowens, Caster, Dante, Naya, Isaiah, Marley Quinn all won on TV this month. The TBS title tournament has been very diverse. I let Swole's contract expire as I felt her wrestling wasn't good enough. Really, TK? Really? You didn't have to say that. Like, you didn't have to. Yeah, you didn't have to make this tweet. Like, obviously, bro, if we watch, we know who the past winners were, and it just so happened that majority of them are all, African American in some sort of form, shape, or way. Like, you didn't need to state the obvious. Like, and then the fact that you say, I let Swole's contract expire as I felt her wrestling wasn't good enough. So you basically just shitted all over her AEW career, which was very unprofessional and extremely uncalled for. But your rebuttal to Swole's saying there's no structure and diverse was to say, hey, I had 8 black people win this month on television. Like, bro. That doesn't do anything, bro. Like, you should have just kept the comment to yourself, or obviously there was a better way into responding to this. But sometimes the best response is not responding at all and just fixing the criticism behind the scenes. It's like you just had to have the last word. And it was like, I don't know where this came from. It seems like every time he's spoken about the women's roster, he gets all defensive. Like someone spoke to him about the women's roster in November, and then he cut them off mid-sentence. He was like, well, remember that NWA event? Oh, I paid for it and no one gave me thanks. I'm like, bro, it's not about the money. Like, we just want better women's wrestling, and you have the power to give us better women's wrestling. And we're telling you the issue is that there's no storylines, there's no nothing. There's only one women's match a night, which is anywhere between the 9:50 and 9:30 hour of Dynamite. The majority of the matches is on Resurrection or AEW Dark. There's no build, there's no anything. I don't know how Thunder Rosa's record got so high, because the average person does not watch the YouTube shows. So it's like stuff like that. How do you expect your audience to care about this women's division if you don't portray it on your television shows. Now you got 2 of them, Tony. That you care about the division. Obviously, the Isaac saying is, yeah, I'm aware of the women's match that happened on Rampage. That was a great and brutal, bloody match. But we need more women's matches on TV, not the YouTube show, on national television, not the web, the television show. But I'm just a guy that sits here and talks about wrestling once a week. What do I know? But that's my thoughts on that. Day 1 is today. I actually like this theme that WWE they took advantage of January 1st, because it is day 1 and they made it a pay-per-view. Very, very quickly, I'm just gonna go over my predictions. Cesaro, Ricochet versus Sheamus and Ridge Highland. I'm gonna go with Cesaro and Ricochet. WWE Raw Tag Team Champions, Rated RK Bro versus the Street Profits. I'm gonna go with Rated RK Bro. Drew McIntyre versus Mad Cop Moss. I'm gonna go with Drew McIntyre. Edge versus The Miz. I feel like we've done this before. This was a WrestleMania match. But I'm going to go with Edge. SmackDown Tag Team Championships. The Usos versus The New Day. Usos are not losing anytime soon. Raw Women's Championship. Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan. I'm going to go against the odds. I'm going to say Liv Morgan does the upset and gets her first WWE major title. So I'm going to go with Liv Morgan. WWE Fatal 4-Way match for the WWE Championship. WWE Championship Big E versus the Monday Night Messiah Seth Rollins versus Kevin Owens versus Monday Night Bobby. Ooh, this is hard. I'm gonna say, and who takes the job? Because it's not even elimination. It's just a Fatal 4-Way. This is hard to call. I'm gonna say Big E retains and he pins Kevin. He pins KO. That's what I'm gonna go for. And for the last match on the card, the big dog, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. I'm still gonna say it's too early to take the title off of the head of the table. Gonna go with Roman retaining. And those are my day 1's predictions. And that's it for this week's Dramascripted Saturday. If you like what you have witnessed, please remember to rate and share this video. Give it a like, comment below. And until next Saturday, guys, I'm Dante, aka Game Fiend, Fiend of All Games, and I'm out of here. Later, and peace. Be safe, everyone.